Yo, real quick, what you're about to watch is an interview between me and the homie Clint Productions. And if you're not familiar with Clint Productions, I definitely recommend you checking out. He's another great mentor in the sync licensing space, drops a lot of gems, gives a lot of great information. We ended up speaking at a NAMM panel together at the NAMM show in Anaheim. And afterwards, we linked up to create some content. The audio may sound a little bit different or weird. It's because we had a lot of background noise. And luckily, one of the students in our mentorship program ended up cleaning up the audio for us. So shout out to him. I actually met him at NAMM as well. Without too much talking, let's get into it and listen to some of the gems that the homie Clint dropped.
Go from there.
I'm here with the boy, Clint Music.
My guy.
We're here at NAMM right now. We spoke earlier today, and want to do a little podcast, little interview style, just give some tips about sync licensing, stuff like that, shoot some content. And Clint, how did you like your experience at NAMM so far, especially speaking?
Yeah. It was dope, bro. Like, obviously, it's always good to be able to speak and, share what we know with people so that they can, get to where we are. Because somebody gave us the information. So it's only right to kind of pass it forward. So that experience has been dope. And then just being around a bunch of creatives, man, a lot of people that we see and interact with on social media, actually getting to meet them in person. It's just been super dope, man. So, yeah, having a good time.
100%. Definitely we're dropping gems today. Yeah. This is your first time at NAMM, right?
This is, my first year.
Mine too, man. It's been a crazy experience. I don't even know how I got here. Like, Marcus, the fingers put it together. It's crazy that we even got this opportunity, especially the first time. You said your first time too, being at NAMM. So, crazy experience so far. I wanted to ask some questions. What are the top 3 mistakes you see kind of producers or artists make when they're starting to get with sync licensing? Yeah. What can they do to avoid those mistakes?
I think one of the big ones is, I think, not doing the research before reaching out to libraries. They want to just go like straight to pitch and get a placement. But without the research, you don't know like who you're sending music to, and you don't know if it's a good fit without doing that research. So if you take the time to do the research, you'll actually increase the chances of you actually hearing yes, because it's a good fit. You went to the website, the publisher's website, seeing what kind of music they place and what kind of music they sign. And you just kind of, you save yourself the frustration of hearing no over and over and over when you just take the time to do that research. So I say, not doing the research is probably like one of the biggest mistakes that they make. The second biggest mistake I see a lot of producers make is not knowing how to structure the music for TV specifically.
True.
Especially if they were coming from the grind of creating music for artists. Music is just formatted differently. Intros aren't as long. The way the music builds, like every 8 bars, is really important. Whereas if you're just producing music for an artist, like you can have like a super repetitive, verse, and it's not really doing a whole lot and be okay because, the artist kind of doing their thing and it's the record for artists. So with TV, the music is it's moving faster. Like every 8 bars, you're doing something different and you're giving editors different things to do. And then your outros are, more of like a button or sting ending instead of fading out. So that's like a big mistake I see producers make a lot.
100%.
And then the third one would be not doing it long enough. Like they start out, they pitch to a couple companies, they don't see anything, and then they stop. That's like the worst thing you can do. Like if you just keep submitting over and over and over and just don't stop, eventually, you're gonna find a connection and alignment with, a licensing company that likes your music, and then finally get past that hurdle of getting your first TV placement. It starts to get easier after that, but then the first one is like the hardest one.
100%. All those are facts. I feel like, especially with the arrangement and definitely doing the research and something like that, it's like one of the most important things. If you're just submitting blindly to a library or a sync agency that doesn't really even take your style of music, or if you're just sitting without fitting their actual protocol, definitely hurts your chances. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see too as well.
Yeah.
So you work with different libraries as far as non-exclusive and exclusive. Yeah. Do you think there's do you think one is better than the other, or do you think it's both accessible? Because I see most producers who want to start off non-exclusive because they already have stuff that's back catalog and they're very protective of that stuff.
Right.
Do you think there's a benefit having non-exclusive over exclusive, or do you think they kind of have both of their benefits as far as the library?
I think they both have benefits, and I had the same mindset getting into it. I was like, yo, like I want to do all non-exclusive and just get it in as many baskets as possible.
Right.
But what I found is like a lot of companies are moving more towards exclusive just to cut down on like confusion of, you know, who owns what, who's representing what, who to pay. And I kind of learned not to get so attached to the music and just like, you know, do an exclusive deal with this library, sign however many tracks you want to, and just make more tracks or sign other tracks to the other exclusive libraries, so you can take advantage of those more exclusive opportunities that they may have, versus being non-exclusive. And then, you know, for the ones that are non-exclusive, just kind of create your non-exclusive bucket of music where, you know, okay, I can send this to like multiple non-exclusive companies that I come across. But I've seen more success working with like exclusive companies.
For sure. Yeah, when I was working for the library, a lot of the companies that we were pitching to get opportunities for new TV shows and stuff, wanted something that was called like a blanket license to cover all the music for the entire catalog.
Right.
That's where having exclusive access for that library kind of brings leverage. Usually when you do that, when you're working in those lanes and you're working with music libraries directly, you're giving up a lot of the publishing.
Yeah.
You find it like kind of daunting, or do you find it like taboo that people work with music libraries and giving up that publishing? Because people, when they hear giving up publishing, they think of like working with the industry artists and stuff like that.
Out, yeah.
Right. But I feel like there's more benefit to actually kind of giving up that publishing and getting more opportunities and having that track live not just one episode or one TV show, but multiple seasons, multiple networks, and multiple opportunities. So what's your opinion about giving up the publishing opportunities?
Bro, like I think you nailed it when you said it's like, yo, it takes a lot of the burden off of you because it's not like giving up ownership. And of course, it's going to depend on what the agreement is. But the way I see it is you work with the publisher. Yes, they're going to take 100% of the publisher share of royalties. Yes, they're going to take 50% of the upfront sync fee. But you get to sit and focus on what you do best, which is create music. And then you send it off. You don't have to worry about anything else after that. You let them do what they do. And I feel like that's the job of the publisher, man. That's what they do best. They manage the relationships. They manage the catalog. They get it in the hands of decision makers. And while you just spend more time to create. So, excuse me. I think it's a win-win, man. Give up the 50% and let people, you know, specialize what they specialize in while you specialize in what you specialize in.
100%.
Yeah.
We talk a lot. I feel like me and you talk a lot about the business of how sync licensing goes.
Yeah.
I don't feel like people really understand how good of a composer you are. Like, how important is it to be actually kind of decent at what you do?
Yeah.
Is this for anybody? Can anybody do this? Is it specific to one area like United States?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like anybody can really take a stab at this?
Yeah, I think especially every producer should try it at least once. It's not for everybody, you know, but you should at least try instead of like wondering like, well, what if I would have tried it? Like it may work out for you, it may not, but it's better to know than to not know. So I think it's for everyone. You know, there's so many different styles of music that's used. That, you know, there's room for everyone to kind of have an opportunity to get their music placed. I think the main thing is just, studying what's working already, what's being played on TV, what's being played in movies and things like that, commercials, ads, and then seeing if that's something you can do, and then start doing the research to find the companies that are signing that kind of music. But yeah, I think everyone should at least give it a try.
100%. And going back to you and your production, earlier we talked, and I was telling you that I heard a track that you did. I went to your live stream, and you were making like a 90s R&B reference track, and I think it was supposed to be in the Bible. Like they gave you a reference for a brief or whatever, and it was like a really nice neo soul-ish type of R&B track. And I noticed there's a sign lead. I told you about the sign lead that you had in it, and it didn't come in immediately. It was very tasteful. It was very planned and coordinated, where it came in later in the track. How was your approach when you start your music? Like, how many layers are you looking to have as far as your music? Do you overcomplicate it? Do you simplify it? Like, what's your approach when you're creating?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I've been a musician first before I was like a producer. And getting into production, I would overproduce all the time because I would just play all the melodies that I hear. But now I try and think of, especially if I'm having vocals on there, really thinking about the vocalists and leaving room for them to be creative melodically. And if you put too many synth leads and melodies in there, it eats up the space for them to be creative. So my rule of thumb is, I'll have the main chord progression, which will be played with like pianos or electric pianos or some type of synth, the main progression, and then I may have some type of pad underneath that's doing the same progression. It's just like pads or something like that, strings.
Single layer.
Yeah. And then after that, I may have something that kind of complements that. So it could be something simple, just hitting one or two notes or something just to kind of create an additional layer that I can add in like to like the second half of the verse. And then I'll do a bass. So you definitely got to have a bass or 808 in there. And then the last thing I'll throw in there is like that synth lead or main melody in the hook that would come in and be like the main idea, the main melody of the track. So that's how I kind of do it. So I'm usually not doing any more than like 4, 5 sounds. A couple of those sounds may be layered, playing the same thing. Yeah. And then drums and stuff like that after that.
100%. Do you feel like now that you're creating music for television, that you surrendered a lot of your creative integrity, or do you feel like you're working on more music that you find enjoyable that you would never work on before, or you never really thought about before?
Yeah, no, dude, it's been amazing. I don't feel like I've had to sacrifice my integrity at all. I feel like a lot of producers, or some producers, feel like, to produce music for TV and films, like, oh, you gotta do like this corny, cheesy music, and it's like, nah, bro, like you can do what you do. You just do it within the guidelines of the brief and create the vibe that they want you to create, and just do you. Like, how would you create a 90s, 2000s R&B track? You know what I'm saying? And just put your spin on it. So I feel like I've been able to be more creative in this space because of the different styles of music that's used. So, I do everything from R&B, hip hop. That's like what I specialize in. But then I also do ambient stuff. I've done some pop rock stuff. I've done like quirky TV comedy stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I've done like more cinematic, like orchestral, trailerized R&B stuff. So it's just really cool, man, to be able to play around with different genres in this space. So I think it's dope.
For sure. I feel like it makes you almost like a better producer overall.
Yeah.
Getting those opportunities. So sometimes like you may be creating something that you're not comfortable with. But there's definitely been some briefs that I have received that have been like way out of what I'm in touch with.
Yeah.
Like having the experience, like opportunity to work on that and get that experience, even if it doesn't sound as great as it would compared to somebody who's mastered that style,
right,
it still helps you create a bigger palette to create music.
Yep.
And do you feel like with music for sync licensing, we're seeing more and more people start talking about this? We're seeing more people start to talk about sync licensing, come out and like really share that this is a lane that people can get in. And I feel like the light bulb is starting to hit for a lot of the community. Yep. Do you think that this lane is saturated?
I get that question a lot. No, I don't. And I mean, I have an abundance mindset, so I feel like there's more than enough to go around. There's more than enough sync opportunities. And I know I used to work for a library, so you've seen some of the cue sheets that have been put together, and it's like, dude, you can take one episode from one TV show on one channel and see like over 100 and some pieces of music easily. And there's an entire season. There's an entire, like, I don't know, 12 other streaming services that have original content on there. So it's more than enough to go around. And honestly, man, you instantly set yourself apart from the competition by just showing up and doing the work. Because most people will fall off once they see you got to create 5, 6 versions of this track and create all these different stems. So if you just like do the work and just keep going, you're going to carve off a lot of that competition anyway. And then the best are going to rise to the top. And you'll see those are the ones that consistently get placement.
100%. I think you're one of like the strong like influencers in this space. And I think it's because obviously like you do this full time. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
And people who talk on this are able to do that because they do. A lot of people who are really strong in this lane are able to do that because they make a living from this.
Yeah.
What are some of the habits that really help you maintain that work ethic and maintaining those relationships that you have? And what do you think are some quality habits that people really need to have as far as maybe if it's mindsets, maybe if it's like creating, every day or every other day, what are some habits that you really ingrained within yourself that you think that other people can kind of implement in their their creation or creativity?
I think it definitely starts with the mindset, man. Like everything starts with what you think, man. So if you think you can't be consistent, or you think you have to be in this magical space of creativity to create, then that's how you're going to operate. But I feel like over the years, it's really been about being disciplined and just sitting down and saying, okay, this is a time window that I have to work. I'm going to create something, like no matter what. Like I may not feel inspired, but because I'm disciplined, I can sit down and create on demand. So if a brief comes in and they're like, hey, we need this in a few hours, I can sit down and just create it right then and there. Right? Because of that discipline and that repetition of, sitting down at a certain time and just creating no matter what, and doing it in a consistent way, creating a schedule. When I first started, I had a day job, so I didn't have all the time to sit and, fool around. So I only had like a small window from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. to create before I had to get up and go to work. So it's just like, okay, I have to sit down, I have to make something no matter what, because this is the only time I have. So I think developing that discipline over time really helped me with the consistency aspect of it. And then a big thing has been, I believe success has a need for speed, right? So, the faster I can and more often I can reach out to companies, the faster I can get through the no's and get to the yeses, right? And start getting those licensing deals. And I feel like that's been a huge role in, finding new deals, working with new companies, getting new opportunities, is by, reaching out to like multiple companies every day until I start to see the results that I want to see.
100%, 100%, man. I commend you for that, because you're saying that you would stay up late from 10 to 2 to make music. You have a life outside of that too, outside of just work or what you had at the time, your day job. You have a family as well. Yeah. You have 2 kids. I picked your brain about this earlier, about having 2 kids and how you kind of find a rhythm or routine for yourself to maintain like that consistency of like the music. You're also making content. You're also, teaching people, about sync licensing. You have a community that you're reaching out to, helping them and nourishing them through this process. So it's something I definitely respect about you is, having that hustle and just like that mindset. And I think a lot of people can actually learn from that, because this lane is not like something you can really dabble in and see great success out of. You have to treat it like a job, and it will reward you in the end when you do it like that. So definitely dope to see your process and your mindset and how you break everything down.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you sitting down and letting us use your setup and stuff like that. And kind of breaking it down, man. And if everybody, if you don't know who Clint is, definitely get familiar with him. A lot of great resources out there. Because not only is he out here giving the info, he's actually really doing it. Like he's sharing his briefs, not sharing his briefs, but he's creating from his briefs on his YouTube. I think you have a super a super chat, like people can go and actually see what you're working on too as well, right?
Yep. The YouTube membership. So like the actual briefs that I'm working on in real time. Like if you're a member of the YouTube channel, you can become a member, and then you get exclusive live streams to be able to see, exactly how I work through a brief, how I go listen through the reference tracks and all of that stuff. So yeah, cool stuff.
Sure, man. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem, man.
All right, man.
Yeah.